Hi everybody. Welcome to First Chapter Fridays. I'm here with one of my booth buddies, Maze. She decided she wanted to come in and join Mama for a little minute. So that's fine. She's gonna get started while I do an intro, and I'll probably put her down when I start narrating. So First Chapter Fridays. Oh, she'll jump down now, and then she'll probably scratch the door. Go ahead, baby. Go ahead. Anyway, First Chapter Fridays. This is when I read the first chapter of a book um, by an indie author. This is not; these are not books that I'm narrating necessarily. Generally not, but they are books that I am sharing in order to share the art of human-led storytelling. Um, Live human narration, live human writers. And today I'm actually sharing a story that I wrote called No One's Priority. And this is part of an anthology called Ink from Many Pens, A Conspiracy of Writers. Um, and there are a lot of really great writers in this. Ben Rose, who I read a story from last week. I believe Stephen Smith, also who I read from. Jesse Bond, C.K. Timber, who I've narrated for. Hawkins Austin, who I've narrated for. They're all in this book, so this is a really cool assemblage of a multi-genre anthology. No One's Priority is a short, like, psychological horror story. And yeah, and we'll just dive in. Again, if you're an indie author and you want to participate in First Chapter Fridays, feel free to fill out the Google form. There's a link in my link tree, and we'll get started. No One's Priority by Sarah K. Peters. Alice woke with a start. Her alarm was blaring, but it felt like she hadn't slept at all. She never felt rested these days. She should be happy. She worked what she once considered to be a dream job at Visions of Tomorrow, a nonprofit that worked with marginalized communities doing arts programming for healing and social change. She loved it. Teaching middle schoolers how to paint or shoot and edit films had been her dream. But her dream was starting to feel like a nightmare. Lately, it had been feeling hard and heavy. It was taking more and more from her to get through each day. Her joy was gone. She dragged herself out of bed and went to feed her cats. Her babies, Sam and Frodo. They danced around her feet as she walked into the kitchen. It seemed they were the only ones who understood her these days. She stroked their soft orange fur as they purred and stretched, waiting for breakfast. "I love you, my babies," she said. "Here's your beautiful breakfast." With that, she felt calm and strength settled into her core. She could do this. She could face another day. She had to. She quickly got ready and rushed out the door. It was a big day. Today she would finally stand up for herself and to say no to the extra work that she knew would be thrown at her in the team meeting. And then she had a date. She was so excited. It had been months since she'd gone out on a date. Mustering the energy after work felt like a Herculean effort this past year. But tonight, she would make it happen. As she approached the building, visions of tomorrow loomed over her. She felt pain surge through her body, like her nerves were violin strings being pulled too tight. They gripped her limbs and seemed to knot in her solar plexus. She closed her eyes and took a breath to help the strings pulling taut release their hold. And she entered the building. That had been happening too much lately. In her 20s, when she started, Alice loved her job. She poured herself into others, trying to save every lost soul, trying to help misguided youth find their way back onto their path, always seeing the best in everyone. No cause was too lost for Alice, her friends would say. She would always find that glimmer of hope. What she didn't realize was that the glimmer was coming out of her. With every soul she With every soul she poured herself into, a small part of her soul, her light, her essence, disappeared. As she focused more on work and less on building her own life, her light started to dim. She was so busy worrying about others that she forgot to look at herself. If she had, she might have seen that she was disappearing bit by bit. Now, at 39, she was feeling thin and drawn. Her edges started becoming a little too sharp. Her skin started becoming a little too thin. Her nerves constantly felt tight and ready to snap from deep down in her core. She thought it was just the typical burnout that comes with nonprofit work. Every day she found it more and more necessary to wear her happy mask. And every day she found it harder and harder to keep the pleasant mask on, because she knew something wasn't right. She thought maybe she needed to start making some shifts. Maybe starting to work with some different communities. Maybe she needed to move from her work in the field to an admin position. Maybe she needed to leave the nonprofit world altogether. But what else could she do? Or should she do? How could she pivot at 39 years old? So she kept on keeping on. Little pieces of herself being lost, absorbed into her students, her clients, her coworkers, as they asked for just one more little thing, just one last little bit of her time and her energy. She put on her happy face, pretending everything was okay. But day by day, she could feel herself getting used up, becoming a shell of the person she once was. Feeling her joy creep away one bit at a time, replaced by nothing. There was nothing there. But today that stopped. Today she would say no. The meeting began, as so many did, with Rob, the director of programs, earnestly thanking everyone for their dedication and service. "I'm in awe of each and every one of you," Rob said, with a sincere nod. "Our youth are truly blessed to have you out there each day, making a difference." Looking around, Alice saw the small smiles and head nods as the team took in the compliments. The same compliments that were always... Looking around, Alice saw the small smiles and head nods as the team took in the compliments. The same compliments that always preceded asking more of them. "We are the ones who are lucky to be serving the youth," Jess said. Jess was a 25-year veteran of programs, a true diehard. She lived and breathed the program and expected everyone working with her to do the same. "We are having our strongest year ever, with more and more programs happening, and I'm going to need each and every one of you to step up," Rob said. "And I know you will do it for the youth. Alice, you've been doing such a great job on your current programs that we're going to give you one more." "Will this start after I'm done with my current assignments?" Alice asked, feeling her nerves go taut. "No, the program launches next week, so we'll need you to get on the planning right away." "But I'm really maxed out right now with my time on site and prep work. I don't think I'll be able to fit in anymore." "Well, surely you can take on just one more program. It'd be basically the same as you're doing now. So we figure you should be able to just, use the same prep hours for both. Times are hard, and the org really needs everyone to step up. We need you to step up. Just use your same lesson plans. Should be fine." "But I'm barely able to get my work done now," Alice said, panic starting to rise. "Even if it's the same program, every site is different and needs time dedicated to it on the specific needs of that site. I can't just reuse the same plans." "No one else seems to be having issues getting everything done. You must not be using your time effectively. These kids are dealing with a lot, and we need you to buckle down and put their needs first." "Will this increased workload come with a pay increase? If I'm managing more programs—" "A pay increase?" Rob said, dumbfounded. "No, I'm afraid we can't do that. Budgets are tight, and so we're asking everyone to take on a little extra. It's for the kids. I'm going to need you to get your priorities in order, Alice. And to make sure you don't go into overtime, we will be cutting your billable prep time for each program so the hours balance out. Senior management looked at the average time being used, and based on what people are logging, we've realized you just don't need as much time as you've been given. Alice could feel those violin strings running through her body stretch and tighten, gathering into a knot right below her sternum. I'm not trying to be difficult, Rob. I just don't see how this is possible. You have the 30 minutes at the beginning and end of each day. You should be able to get any site-specific work done then. If you need to sidebar about this, I'm happy to have a private conversation with you about how to be more efficient. We think this is the best call. But I'm using all of those outside hours, not just the pre and post planning time. The pre and post time is mostly for setting up the space, not for prepping materials, writing scripts, editing. I need that time off site. I don't understand how I'm supposed to take on an extra program and get all of that extra work done when you're taking away my prep time. Alice could feel the violin strings pulling inside her, tighter, tighter, feeling like they could break through her skin. The tension increasing in her solar plexus until she started to feel a tearing deep inside her. I don't understand the issue. If you really cared, like I thought you did, you would find a way to give the programs all the time they need. That's what we need team players here to do. These youth need you, Rob snapped. Alice looked around. Her coworkers were looking at her, incredulous that she would object, whispering to each other about doing it for the youth, shaking their heads. I care about the kids, so I just do the work. If it takes a little longer, then that's something I'm happy to do, Jess said with a self-righteous tone. I don't worry about logging every minute that I'm thinking about a program or editing final projects for the kids. I don't track that time. I'm just happy to do it. Of course I care about the kids, Alice said. I'll make it work. She didn't want to be a problem. Snap went the violin string. She put her hand on her abdomen. She could feel a small hole at her solar plexus. Where there had once been substance, skin, flesh, muscle, blood, now there was nothing. Meeting adjourned. Alice stayed late that night to prep for the new program. She texted her date to cancel, feeling brittle and taut. Snap! Another piece gone, just to the left of the first. She wrapped her cardigan around herself to hide the shame of it. She didn't want anyone to see the holes in her. She didn't want anyone to see the nothingness. When she finally went home, she collapsed onto the couch, curling up and feeling those open spaces where pieces of her once existed, feeling the nothing creeping in. Sam and Frodo came up to their mama and with their tiny paws started making biscuits, gently filling in the missing spaces. The holes in her soul didn't scare them. They kneaded and chirped and tried their best to fill in the nothingness. The end. Well, not the end. That's the end of, if I had chapters, that's where I would end chapter 1 in this story. So thank you. Oh, it's so fun to see you. Hi, Brandon. Mike, oh my goodness. Jennifer, Kino, oh my goodness. Madonna, oh my gosh, so many folks coming in. Hi, guys. Thank you for listening in today. So yeah, this is No One's Priority. This is a short story I wrote. It's part of the anthology, Ink from Many Pens, A Conspiracy of Writers, which actually is just released this week. This is its released week. I think the 4th was the actual day. I'll make a post. I'll make a link. But thank you for tuning in. And I will be back again next Friday for more authors, indie authors. And if you are an indie author and you want to be included in a First Chapter Friday where I read the first chapter of your book, please just fill out the form, the link in my bio in the link tree, and I will be happy to get you in the queue. Thank you everybody for listening in today, and have a beautiful Friday.